Halloween may be behind us, but now it's black walnut harvesting time. So today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about these amazing nuts, which happen to be my favorite. A lot of people don't like the intense earthly flavor of black walnuts, but for me, that flavor is tied in with memories of childhood, driving down country roads with my parents. Actually, I was riding, they were driving, and stopping at pockmarked little gravel roads and finding black walnuts everywhere. And we'd take them home and we would dry them and process them, and then we would have a great source of this magnificent ingredient for oatmeal raisin cookies and fudge divinity and all sorts of great treats. So today I thought I would tell you some of the tips that I've learned about harvesting black walnuts. And of course there are many different ways to do this. In fact, there are probably as many ways to harvest black walnuts as there are people harvesting them. For one, you could harvest them when they're kind of bruised and brown like this, or you can harvest them green. It really depends on if you don't mind getting your fingers stained a bit. Because at this stage, when you're harvesting them, your fingers will get stained unless you're wearing gloves. At this stage, a little less so. Let me show you. So the way we harvest them when I was a kid, we would wear old shoes and they would stomp on them like this. And we'd roll them around. I think this is how a lot of people learn to be good soccer players. And then you'd pick them up and you'd put them in your basket. Otherwise, you're taking a whole bunch of them like this, and if you harvest them when they're in this browner stage, I'm going to put this one down and stomp on it, you can see it's a very dark stain. And again, unless you're wearing gloves, you're going to have a lot of stain on your hands. But either one works. They work fine. So once you have a harvest, like a nice big bucket or basket full of them, you want to pull them and put them in some sort of cage or something off the ground. We used an old rabbit hutch when I was a kid that kept them up off the ground so that they don't get all kinds of worms and fungus and things like that. And it also allowed them to cure. And it usually took 2 or 3 weeks. It depended on the weather. And then we would spend time cracking them open. So let me show you. They're definitely a hard nut to crack. Some people recommend doing this wearing glasses, safety glasses, and making sure their little kids aren't around or someone else who could get hit by flying pieces of this tough shell inside. But here's a little bit what the nut meat looks like. And really the secret is I'm sort of in here right now, so I can't quite use my hand the way I would, but it's to turn them and gently tap. And when you're gently tapping them, like on all 4 sides, these open up into pieces in which the nut meat comes out much easier. One of the more difficult parts of harvesting black walnuts is actually harvesting the nut meats, which means picking out the nut from the shell. And I usually use a little nut picker. Some people use toothpicks, so those can be used as well. But you just want to pick out the nut meat, and then as difficult as that can be at times, it's also incredibly rewarding when a great big piece of nut falls into your little cup. For those of you who like that earthy taste of walnuts, the blacker ones tend to have a stronger taste, I think, once they've already turned black. And the greener ones that you haul with your foot like that tend to be a little less intense, according to some. I have never really noticed the difference.